Hey guys, it's Leo K. So, this is going to be a playthrough of Assassin's Creed Unity with no upgrades, and no skilling, no leveling, nothing of that nature. We're just going to be playing the whole game with the weakest possible Arno. I've done this before twice, once at 30 FPS on a PS4 with a very awful microphone that had very awful vocal quality, and a second time on stream, which is, of course, not the greatest way to view something. It's not of a curated, crafted, tailored experience. So I wasn't very satisfied with, if someone wanted to look up, oh, AC Unity no upgrades, what is the content they would find on my channel? Would I be happy to watch something like that? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. So I decided to remake it completely. And I remade it on PC at 1080p, 60 FPS, or, as close to consistent 60 FPS as I can run it. And
come with me.
Things are going to be a little different this time than usual. I'm going to be doing post-commentary, so all of this has been recorded in a way that I could, focus and concentrate on the game as best as I can. And I am watching all of my footage now, after the fact, and I'm speaking over it. So that's how this playthrough is going to go. Essentially, we are going to watch this game together, you and I, and whenever I encounter moments where I want to comment on something or mention something, we will just talk about those. So at the beginning of the game here, we're playing as the personal, the chosen, the personal knight, bodyguard, assistant, whatever you want to call him, of Jacques de Molay, who is the current Grand Master of the Templar Order. This is a prologue. It's a little introduction to the game's basic mechanics. This is the first thing anyone would see, really, the first gameplay anyone would get if they were to play Assassin's Creed Unity for the first time. And this is the gameplay we were all treated to when we installed the game back in 2014. So, pretty fancy stuff, and it's interesting playing as a Templar for the prologue. This area that we're in, by the way, actually comes back for the end of the game. The final mission takes place here. We can see an assassin running past us, so we're just gonna run down. Now, the draw of a no upgrades run is to see how I'm gonna make my way through every situation without, having all the upgrades, all the skills, without having extra health, without having a pistol, for example. We never get that. There are just certain things, certain verbs, certain options that our character will never have access to. Now, obviously, at the beginning of the game, that's completely irrelevant because there are no upgrades to be gotten yet. Right now, this is just standard gameplay. So I'll talk a bit about other stuff while this is going on, I guess. So this is the first quote-unquote boss fight, even though it's really not much of a challenge. This is Thomas de Carneillon. You can think of him as the Altair to Arno's Ezio. He's basically the assassin in France, in Paris, that was a legend in his era. And we're going to beat the shit out of him. It basically teaches you the standard combat mechanics. So, you can attack, you can parry, and you can perfect parry, and you can dodge. And I believe those are all the mechanics we'll actually have access to in this playthrough. We never unlock heavy attack, we never unlock staggering strike, and those two are both really useful, so the ways we'll find to deal with the lack of those are going to be pretty interesting. So I'm going to be skipping most of the cutscenes, if not all of them, because if I didn't, this video would be 5 hours long, and I don't think anyone wants to watch that. I certainly don't want to commentate that. But now, we're Tiny Arno. We've skipped forward a while. A great while, actually, hundreds of years.
Don't even think about moving.
And we're going to follow this little girl, who's super cute, just like us. So Arno and Elise, interesting thing, their names start with A and E, like Adam and Eve. There's an apple here that E will dare A to steal. And that's some interesting Assassin's Creed symbolism. I always point this out because it inevitably blows somebody's mind who didn't think about it. But yes, this idea of a boy and a girl stealing an apple is a pretty relevant thing to the lore of the entire franchise. So here we get introduced to the new stealth mechanics that Unity added to the series, which really only lasted until Syndicate, and then Origins gutted all that and replaced it with new stuff. So essentially, you can lure people around, and normally what we would do is we would wait for this guard to, like, forget about us and lure him out of the way again, but if you lure him to that position and you know where the gate is, you can just go to the gate without having to re-lure him. You can kind of just save some time, skip some gameplay, and there's pretty much no reason not to do this. So at this point something tragic happens, and we're gonna zip forward a number of years to when Arno is a young man. And he's chasing this blacksmith because he wants his watch back. His watch is something that his father gave him. It's a very important memento and keepsake for him. And this guy has stolen it. So this is your parkour tutorial, your parkour tutorial, your movement tutorial, pretty much. This is the first time you're really gonna move through crowded environments at a brisk pace. And this is a skill that you'll need to get used to.
Blacksmith like you probably can't even read or watch. Come over here and say that. No.
So at this point, one of the full sync requirements is to not get tackled. I will not be finishing every full sync in the game. I'll just be doing the ones that I happen to accidentally fulfill, because my goal is to just finish the game without upgrading anything, and anything else that kind of gets in the way of that is not something I want to be doing very much. But a quick way to finish the full sync in this mission is to just climb and stay high, because neither Victor nor Hugo can climb. So if you're on rooftops, you can't get tackled, and that's just easy mode. Once this mission is over, that's all the gameplay here. We're gonna skip ahead to having to chase Monsieur de la Serre's carriage, and essentially a letter has arrived for him. We want to give it to him, you know. Arno loves to zip around, so this is kind of your introduction to rooftop parkour, if you didn't climb very much in the previous mission. Rooftops and rooftop navigation are a critical element of the original Assassin's Creed series, so this is something that you would do well to pay attention to, I suppose, if it's your first time playing, and it's something that you will get way better at over time. I do a really wonky back eject here, which essentially snaps Arno onto that ledge, even though it looks like it shouldn't. And we're just gonna keep moving. There's really not much to speak of here. If I start doing advanced parkour moves, I'll talk about them, but there's really not much to say.
Please excuse, wrong carriage. What I need is a bird's eye view.
This is your introduction to viewpoints. Viewpoints are also a critical element of the original Assassin's Creed games. From an in-universe perspective, they offer the assassin, or the character you're playing if they're not an assassin yet, as in our case here, they offer the assassin a bird's eye view. They offer intelligence, awareness, just knowledge of your surroundings, and on a mechanical point of view, they also unfog your map, which we don't really care about, and is not something we're going to concern ourselves with very much. Finally, they also offer a point to fast travel to, starting from Black Flag. Viewpoints function changed to that. So in that regard, they're also pretty useful. We're not going to be hunting down viewpoints over this playthrough, but if we happen to land near one as a result of a mission finishing, we'll just go ahead and cap it so that we have a fast travel point for later for convenience. I think the only notable one that actually occurs with is the one on Hollo Bleh. And I think that's actually the only way to get up there. Unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But anyway, I know for a fact that that's one that we go to. So what have we learned so far? We've learned combat, we've learned parkour, and now we're about to learn the third core pillar of the original Assassin's Creed games, which is social stealth. Arno is the most relatable rogue of all time, except for maybe Altair, because he uses stealth to go see his cute redhead girlfriend. Like, come on. Come on. So social stealth basically works in a simple but enjoyable manner in Assassin's Creed. Essentially, if there is a crowd of 3 or 4 civilians at minimum, you can move inside of them, and when that blend circle appears, you are effectively invisible. Guards can't actually see you, they can't actually detect you. Their awareness meters will not fill at all when you're walking slowly through crowds like this. If you start running, you'll disrupt the crowd, and then you'll become visible. These pulses are eagle vision, for those of you who know nothing about this game. Essentially, they let you see through walls, and Assassin's Creed was one of the first games, one of the earliest games ever to introduce this kind of mechanic to mainstream AAA gaming. So if you like detective mode from Arkham, you should probably thank Assassin's Creed for that. If you like other vision modes, same thing. It's really useful. In Assassin's Creed, there's actually lore and story connected to it, and why assassins can use this ability, so that's kind of awesome. You should look up Eagle Vision on the wiki if you care about that kind of stuff. I do, but I don't know if we have too much time to talk about it. But yeah, Eagle Vision and Social Stealth, they're often used in tandem, because if you can see where guards are, you can avoid them much more easily, and that's something that you'll notice us doing a lot, because we're playing without minimap. Speaking of playing without minimap, the HUD setting I usually play Unity with is what I call soft disabled, which is basically you hold the right stick or you hold C by default to kind of fade away the HUD, and this leaves certain elements active, which I like for the viewer experience. So for example, you can see guards' awareness meters, SSIs, you can see what direction they're looking at me from, so that you kind of have a better awareness of the moves I'm making and why I'm making them and things like that. And the other thing it does is it also leaves the blend circle on, which some people find ugly and garish. I much preferred the like animus lines of the original games, but whatever. And finally, I believe it leaves combat indicators and the last known position on as well.
Not these two again. Must have tailed me from the estate.
So here Arno just wants to give Monsieur de la Serre this letter, but Victor and Hugo have discovered him. They followed him here, and we're gonna see a short scene. I guess I forgot to trim this one out, where Monsieur de la Serre is talking to a man named Mirabeau. You don't know this yet, but Mirabeau is actually the current, I guess you could call him a leader of some sort, of the Assassin Brotherhood in Paris. So a Templar and an assassin are having a little truce talk. Very interesting. Alright, here you're introduced to enemy archetypes. So far, you haven't really fought enemies that do anything different or special with their moves. But Victor and Hugo fight very differently. So I don't know which one's which, because I'm a lame non-super fan like that. But the gray guy, he attacks with light attacks, and the red guy attacks with heavy attacks. Now heavy attacks you cannot block, you have to dodge them. And I'm actually really bad. So because his attacks track me really far, I actually end up eating pretty much all of them until I finally just give up and just decide to start hitting him. Now, when the other guy recovers, I'm essentially going to keep parrying the light attacker until I can bring down the red guy. And when the red guy is down, I'm gonna get the heck out of there.
Is it Victor? To your health, gentlemen. You boy, so what are you doing?
Actual guards' heavy attacks in the real game, quote unquote, do not track nearly as badly. So I have no idea what happened there and why he hit me so many times. But this is not the first time I will eat damage, so I get shot off the wall there. I still decide to do my wall run up side eject because it's the fastest way to climb a building, and climbing a building is a good way to break line of sight, but I screw up, I jump off, and I'm just gonna try to put some distance between me and these cops, and yeah, here looks pretty good. So This is not quote-unquote a perfect playthrough. There's not going to be any desyncs in here, there's not going to be any deaths in here, but there will be mistakes. There will be moments where I play sloppily, and that's not really my concern. In fact, if you consider it one way, as a contrast to my flawless style runs, this adds a certain amount of value for players who will make those mistakes. Because Unity is a very difficult game to play for reasons that are both good and bad. It's hard to play for reasons that are good because it will really test your knowledge of the mechanics, and it really rewards skilling up and getting better at the game. Skilling up like with your hands and your brain in real life, not like buying abilities and shit. But on the other hand, it's hard for bad reasons, because the game is still somewhat broken, still somewhat inconsistent. There are things that are not, bugs per se, but they're game flaws that have not been fixed, not been addressed, not been corrected. So there are times when it will screw you over, and it's very important that you know what to do in those moments and how to react out and adapt out of that. So that's something I'll be showing as well. Now we get our introduction to traditional stealth, which is something that the games have always kind of dabbled in, but weren't as great at, and Unity was really the first game to start this transition to more traditional line of sight stealth that's less about hiding in crowds and more about crouching behind boxes and stuff, which, you can take that how you will. I like stealth in general. I would have liked to retain both gameplay styles, but, it's fine. And happily, Unity is a game that does contain both gameplay styles to varying degrees. You're gonna see us blend sometimes, you're gonna see us sneak past people like this sometimes.
Look at that one. Pretty sure his shoes cost more than my rent.
So Arno's here because he wants to meet Elise, who is that hot redhead girl. She's really pretty and wonderful, and also scary with a sword. I like her a lot. Oh my god.
If it's all the same to you, I think I'll stay up here. You, come here.
She is also, of course, a Templar.
Of course.
Which is, quote-unquote, not something you're supposed to know, but all the marketing kind of, revealed all that stuff very, very early on. So, it's part of the drama of this game, is that Arno becomes an assassin, and Elise, she's been a Templar her whole life, she'll remain a Templar her whole life, and it creates this kind of interesting Romeo and Juliet style tension, and it's a unique narrative element that I haven't really seen anywhere else in the franchise other than a taste of it with Altair and Maria from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and Revelations. And Bloodlines. But, this narrative element was not pulled off terribly well in Unity, but it was pulled off. So I'm glad that it's there. I wish it were written better. I wish Elise had more screen time. Arno and Elise are really, their interactions are seriously, the blood of this game, and what makes it tick for me on a narrative level, because, the rest of the conspiracy stuff isn't as strong as some of the early AC narratives, for example. But, it kind of does what it does, pushes the game forward.
You seem to have caused quite a commotion.
I guess I forgot to trim this cutscene out as well.
You were always a bad influence.
Oh, you were a worse one.
Someone's gonna accuse me in the comments, gonna put massive quotation marks around, yeah, Leo, you forgot to trim this scene. I'm like, no, I actually did forget. I'm happy I forgot, but I did forget.
I feel like a mummy wrapped up in this thing.
Must be quite an occasion to get you so fancy.
It's not like that. Truth be told, it's a lot of ceremony and pontification. Dull as dirt.
Well, when you don't invite me to your parties, everyone suffers.
I did try, but my father was adamant.
Your father?
Go. I'll distract them.
What? You're kicking me out?
It's complicated. I'll explain later, but for now, out the window.
Oh, no. You're not turning this into a repeat of that apple orchard.
Stop being such a baby. I'm sure there aren't any guard dogs this time. Go.
So we're gonna jump down here and immediately go into crouch. You can actually, if you are super brave, when that guard walks to the left like that, you can walk behind him. I don't do that because I chicken out, but he actually gives you a lot of time to walk behind him, go through that gap between those two pieces of furniture up there, and then just like curve around. This right here is quote unquote the intentional way you're supposed to do it, but if you're watching this, don't do what I did because you just lose time and patience, and there's no reason. Just walk behind him and turn right. Same thing with this guy, he's completely oblivious. You can just move around him. And these guys here are much the same. The one on the right essentially takes forever and a half to do anything, to turn around. Maybe he actually doesn't. And these guys here can't actually see you as you go out this door. So from here on out, there's no more gameplay. I would just uncrouch and walk out of the door here. And we are framed for a terrible crime and thrown into the Bastille, which is one of the worst prisons in the world, probably. This guy is Bellec. He has taken an interest to our character Arno, and he has actually stolen Arno's watch, which is something, again, that he really cares about. Arno loves his watch because it's his last memento of his dead father.
See if your defense is as good.
So now it teaches you perfect parry, even though you really should know about it by now.
So much effort for a broken antique. The only broken antique in here is flapping his idiot jaw. Say that again.
So if you notice, we're not doing a lot of damage to this guy, and this is because we're fighting with a wooden sword. But if you expect this to change, don't. Because this level of damage is what we're going to be doing to most things in the game if we actually get into a fight. Maybe not with enemies that are, you know, diamond level 1 to 2, but enemies with diamond level 3, 4, and 5, we can't fight at all, basically. Either that or fights against them are very long and protracted, because the statistics on our dull cavalry saber are just not very good. There are tricks for fighting, and those tricks will come into play more and more as we get close to the end of the game. In the beginning, you can kind of just spam melee attacks on people and kill them super easily. So at this point, it teaches you how to stealth take down someone, which you can do by walking up to them and holding your loot button or your drop button.
Let's get out of this shell.
You get a different stealth takedown later, but it requires a certain weapon that Arno doesn't have yet. And this is a weapon that is very special to me and to a lot of Assassin's Creed players. Okay, so at this point you get smoke bombs. This is an item that will basically become our best friend for this run, because it's one of the only items we can have without actually skilling. So when you hear that sound effect, and when those guys start, you know, being all dizzy, you don't have to attack them anymore. They're neutralized. They're considered dead. So I got shot, and I'm gonna smoke bomb. Take that guy's HP to 0. These guys basically take 3 attacks until they're dazed, and then, like I said, you don't have to hit them anymore. It's just a waste of animation time.
Take your time. No, you've got to be kidding.
Alright, he's lockpicked the door. We're gonna keep moving.
Let's go, piss pot. Out the window.
For a moment, I completely forget where I'm supposed to go, and I EV through the smoke to be able to see him. And then I remember it's this way. I know there are enemies on the other side of this door, so I hold a smoke bomb so that I can engage them very easily. So I'm just gonna run here, and when these guys are in smoke, they're stunned. They can't do any actions. So they can't attack me, they can't move, they can't attack Bellec, and they can't block. And it basically makes them very easy targets to hit. So all these guys are down. We're gonna keep moving.
Where now? Up. Brilliant. And how do we get down again? Trust me. I surrender. I surrender.
What are you waiting for, Pissbot? It's time to jump.
What? Prison scrambled your brains, old man.
Drink took care of that a long time ago. Now get up here!
I can't. That's impossible.
Impossible? That's the purview of every assassin boy. If you can pluck your head out of your own arse, come find us. Make a great fit. Goodbye, Pisspot!
You! Back away from the ledge!
And Arno has no choice but to perform a leap of faith he believes will kill him. Because it's either this or certain death behind him. And I thought that was a really cool moment the first time I played this game, when Bellec says, "Impossible, that's the purview of every assassin." Because it's a really powerful moment. It's an implication that assassins do things that are considered impossible by most people. And it's true, over the course of the franchise, they are, they have elements of being subtly superhuman, even though, at most, they just have some extra First Civilization DNA. Theoretically, everything an assassin can do, you can do too. You'll probably just gravely injure yourself attempting it. And that's what makes them so cool. That's why I kind of prefer the more grounded human protagonists, because they still have First Civilization blood. They're not, 100% mundane, capital N normal human. They've got a little something special, but I like those characters a lot more than, say, the Eagle Bearer from Odyssey, because when you're a demigod, the quote-unquote impossible and cool things you can do with your abilities and your powers, it's somehow less impressive to me than, someone like Altair, someone like Arno, someone like Edward Kenway, who are ostensibly, normal humans, but they've got like that little edge, Like that's something that in my protagonists, in my characters, I enjoy a lot more. So Arno solves this puzzle after getting out of jail, and he meets the Assassin Brotherhood, and they tell him to drink from a cup. When he drinks from this cup, this happens. So, rule of thumb, if you see like hooded, robed people telling you to drink from a super fancy goblet, consider what might happen when you do so. So he essentially leaps of faith into his own mind. And at this point we kind of get a flashback of what happened when he was a kid, which was he disobeyed his father's orders, and when he came back his father was dead. He was killed by a Templar, who, if you've played Assassin's Creed Rogue, you will know who that is. And for the record, the order I suggest playing these games in, if you have both Rogue and Unity, is I recommend playing Rogue and finishing Rogue first, and then playing Unity after. Both because, to me, the narrative makes more sense that way, and because Rogue is the previous gen game, whereas Unity is the next gen game. So it kind of makes sense that way. Like, you get a smooth flow of gameplay systems, instead of, going to the new system and then going back. It makes more sense that way. So if this is the inner workings of Arno's mind, it's not looking too great. Everything's exploding and blowing up. He sees his father's corpse, and he sees a letter that he was supposed to deliver to Monsieur de la Serre, who is Elise's father, who kind of adopted Arno and became his father figure. And that's the reason why Arno was in the Bastille. He was framed for the murder of Francois de la Serre, even though he didn't do it. So he's essentially lost both of his father figures, and Elise has lost her father as well. So this is really, for these two characters, it's kind of the lowest point in the story. They've lost their mentors, effectively, their guardians, and because Elise believes Arno was the one that did it, they've also lost each other as allies. So they're completely alone. And whereas Elise is kind of going at it solo and trying to find, help from the Templar Order, we can see she won't succeed very much at that. Arno has found the assassins. These are the only people he can go to. He has no one else. And you can choose to read this scene several different ways. The way I always saw it is that Arno essentially assassinates himself. I get a frame drop here, which is very annoying, but what can you do? But yeah, the way I always chose to read this scene is that Arno has to assassinate himself, his previous self, and rise again, kind of like death of the ego sort of thing, become a new person. And we're gonna skip all the cutscenes again, and now we're an assassin for real. We have our robes, we have our hidden blade, which is the assassin's iconic armament. We're gonna come over here and take down this guy. And this is really when the game sort of starts, because once you have your assassin robes and once you have your hidden blade, you can achieve a much greater flow of movement through areas. So I try to do something foolish here. I try to lure these guys, and it slips my mind that I actually don't have Berserk blades yet. Because normally I would stun one of these guys with a Berserk blade to stop them from moving and then kill them. And what happens here is I instead use smoke bombs, but the cannon obstructs my aim line, and I essentially just end up fighting them that way.
Next time, do that before he starts screaming. Why do we hang about here when Sivert still lives? He killed Monsieur de la Serre.
Patience. Sivert's not the target. Not today. Come on.
Here you get taught how to use smoke bombs once again. This item is going to be extremely important. This item basically saves your life if there are people chasing you, especially late game, because we're not going to be getting any of the HP upgrades. So one bullet will usually kill us in the end game, unless we're just extremely lucky. And most enemy attacks will two-shot us. Some of them will one-shot us in the late game. So we basically have to be very careful. Ideally, we just never get in a fight. That's not going to be how it works out, because even the best player will get detected eventually on a purely improvised run. So I'm going to smoke here, kill these guys. So you can kind of see this one moment here is kind of a microcosm of the whole game. If you're playing it, with the intended level of flow, the intended level of efficacy. It's the most basic strategy, but it's something that people just don't do, or don't know about, or refuse to use for reasons I can vaguely understand, but also not really, because the rest of the game isn't smooth and solid enough to warrant avoiding this kind of technique. But essentially the basic principle is you throw smoke into an area, that area then becomes safe, you run into the area, you kill everything in the area, and then you leave. Now I talked about all of that over a huge fight, but you get the idea. I run up that wall in order to dodge detection from the guys on the street until Bellec can smoke them, and then I just use the final guy to get down with that air assassination.
Merde. Patriots. These imbeciles will pick a fight with anyone. Try not to draw their attention.
So Unity kind of introduces two different guard types. It introduces red guards and blue guards. You can think of them as what they actually are in the story all you want, but for all intents and purposes, just remember, red guards will always be aggressive to you, whereas blue guards will only be aggressive to you if you're in their territory. So yeah, extremists harass the population, they are paid by Templars. So yeah, they will recognize you, they'll be like, hey, what are you doing? And they'll come try to shove you around and fight you, and essentially if you stay in their line of sight for too long, they'll get suspicious of you and they'll always try to fight you.
Need a break? Need a break?
On our right here is Notre Dame, and we will be going to this place later. There's an important event that happens there.
Just trying not to strain your heart.
I'll still be running when you're dead.
Need a break? Just trying not to strain your heart.
That guy is inside the haystack, no worries. I'm not gonna judge his life. Alright, so this essentially introduces you to the faction system, where blue guards and red guards, if they're both hostile in areas where they interact, where they meet each other, they will actually fight. So one way you can do this is to throw a cherry bomb between them, and it triggers both of their awareness meters, and then they see each other and they fight. It's not really useful, but you can use it sometimes. So this is the first main assassination of the game. Once upon a time, Assassin's Creed used to be all about culminating in these like apexes of gameplay and storytelling. Main assassinations were basically this franchise's version of boss fights, and that's the kind of gravitas you would expect from things like this. So essentially, main assassinations test all the skills you've learned up to this point. So what we have to do here is we have to kill a guy named Sivert who's meeting a priest in this church. He's a Templar, he has plans for this city, presumably, and one thing that we need to do is we need to get a key from his associates in the area. So we kill those two guys, we steal the key, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here. He's got kind of like a second in command or a lieutenant, he's called Duchesneau, and what we're gonna do is we are supposed to kill this guy to prevent him from enacting a certain plan, and when we kill him, we can take someone's place in a confessional. This is essentially a special kill type that we can unlock. Instead of just shanking this guy out in the open, we can kill him by doing it more stylishly, in a more special way. So I'm going to aggro these guys to come over here. And then I'm gonna smoke and leave. That was totally not intentional, by the way. I just happened to stab that guy there because it was convenient, and because I knew that they wouldn't keep following me if I smoked and ran. I show off the non-lethal knockout here because it feels like as soon as people get the hidden blade, they completely forget about the tutorial that teaches them how to use knockouts. So once we get in this haystack, there's our target. We're gonna eagle vision to basically trigger him to start moving, because until Arno catches sight of him, Sivert will just stay there forever. Assassinations must be performed with the hidden blade. This was something that was very unique to AC Unity. I think only AC1 worked the same way. So in order to assassinate Sivert, we're going to take 2 steps. We're going to secure the area. So he's in that confessional now. All these guards that are controlling this space essentially will make it difficult to escape smoothly. So what we're gonna do is smoke in front of them so they all look that way, kill this guy through the smoke, and then immediately go back into the confessional.
Everything's in place. Finally saw recent, did he? What's our cut?
There's your cut. So once we've given Sivert his cut, we need to escape. If we haven't killed these guards earlier, we have to wait around and be a little bit more patient in order to get out of here. We want to save some time, so we can just kill them, secure the area, control the space, and then leave very easily. So as we leave here, something peculiar happens to the simulation around us. Now, in the Assassin's Creed universe, Templars exist well into present day and beyond, even in the future, and they control a huge corporation called Abstergo Industries. Abstergo controls a great deal of information. Essentially, the reason you can see these simulations and these historical moments is because you can process people's DNA and relive the lives of their ancestors. Now, we are essentially playing the role of someone contracted by the assassins to process these memories, and as a result of this, what we're doing is technically super illegal, and Abstergo doesn't like it. Now, because it is super illegal, Abstergo Industries are not bound by law to be responsible for anything that occurs to people doing this stuff, which means they can essentially send huge server sweeps to, I guess you could say, pretty much fry your brain and send you into a coma forever. So this is something that we don't want, so we're going to run through a server bridge. And what server bridges are basically rips in the simulation, still of Paris.
This will throw Abstergo off your trail for a while, but you'll also run into a lot of incomplete and corrupted code. Which probably explains why the people here aren't quite here.
But in different time periods. And this is basically the extent of the present-day gameplay you're gonna get in this game. It's still historical, but you have Bishop speaking in your ear, and there's a lot of glitchy simulation weirdness going on.
See if you can find a route underground.
These server bridges allow you to migrate from one server to another so that you can stay safe and continue your hunt for what the assassins are having you look for a little longer. And what the assassins are having you look for is a sage. Sages are people who have a surplus of first civilization DNA. DNA of the people who created humanity and used them as a slave workforce, essentially. And Abstergo wants to collect a bunch of these corpses of sages so that they can sequence this genome and start reliving memories of an era where incredible technologies existed, and this would essentially put Abstergo in complete control. What the Templars want, what Abstergo wants by extension, is peace through force. Essentially, they want to control the entire world, prevent free thought, prevent rebellion, resistance, violence of any kind. And it's a very brutal, totalitarian method of achieving so-called peace. And this is something the assassins stand against, and something they really don't like the idea of. Because to the assassins, peace that isn't chosen isn't very true, and it is inherently violent against the people you enact it on. So the whole franchise is about these clashing ideologies, essentially. On one side you have these edgy, shadowy rogues who stealth kill bad guys from the shadows, and on the other side you have these well-meaning, well-intentioned extremist Templar paladin dudes who in the present day control large corporations, and it's all very cyberpunky.
There you are. And you found the exit. Good.
I don't know who's gonna be watching this video, so there's gonna be a mix of things that everybody already knows, like, oh Leo, why would you talk about this stuff, like I already know all this. And there's gonna be stuff that people maybe don't know as well. But we haven't really reached too many of those moments. All in due time. Now, what does a sage in the past have to do with a sage in the present? Well, the idea is that if Abstergo Industries can find this sage in the past, then they can go to where his corpse is in present day and harvest his DNA. Apparently. And once again, that's something the Assassins really do not want, because if the Templars gain understanding of First Civilization technologies, then they will undoubtedly use that to enforce their New World Order shenanigans, and that's just a bad deal for everyone. And because this is a DNA sample that you've stolen from Abstergo, technically Abstergo already likely have researchers, or will have researchers, looking at this DNA sample in the future. So it's kind of a race against time. It's a race against Abstergo's own research team, trying to find this sage, trying to synchronize with these memories, so that their sinister employers can profit from that knowledge. Okay, once that's all over and done with, what we want to do now is we've received information about someone called the King of Beggars, and he kind of owns the poorer territories of Paris, the run-down kind of shantytown places. So we're going to try to research this target. You can see a bunch of detection meters pop up for a second because this is a restricted area and I'm not supposed to be here. They're kind of on the lookout for an assassin. The King of Beggars has a very strong information network. In fact, that's essentially his function in the Templar Order. He's kind of a scout. He collects information, he gives it to Templars who act on that information and use it to make plans. So in order to find the King of Beggars, we need to interrogate his lieutenant, Latouche. Latouche was a taxman who worked for the king, but was unjustly thrown out from his position. So he kind of went from having a silver spoon and living his best life to kind of being cast out onto the street, and this is something that he kind of carries with him as a huge grudge, and he joins the Templar Order both to be useful to someone, to use his talents, and kind of like as a method of revenge.
Get back!
So there's something interesting we do here. This is the first interesting moment. Once upon a time I uploaded a video of this mission, but for some reason it got deleted. Or maybe I removed it by accident when I was managing all my vids. But what we're going to do is, we're told to tail this this person, Latouche. What we're going to do is we're actually going to tail him from the front, because we've memorized where he's going to walk, we know his patrol route, we know kind of the line he takes through this place. And what we can do is we can just move ahead of him, and it doesn't really do anything, it's just kind of neat, but it does allow us to set up shop in a position near the end of his cycle and just stay there and wait until he triggers the next cutscene and the next objective.
Fancy a drink later?
Do I know you? Where you going? Yourself? Need a change of bridges? true?
I'm going to kill this guy here.
Is it true what he did to Thierry?
And then I'm going to climb right up here. We can stay here for the remainder of this checkpoint. This is why I tailed him from the front, because reaching this place basically lets you finish the checkpoint for free, pretty much. After he walks close enough to the house, it triggers a cutscene. We're gonna skip it. And now we get a nice little infiltration. So this is one of my favorite zones in the game. It's just a shame that you can't replay this checkpoint without sitting through the long tailing section, otherwise I would make much more content on this one little area. But you see the guy in the top left, we're gonna eagle vision, wait for him to turn around, and this frees us to move over here. We're gonna come here, air assassinate this guy just as a method to get down easily. And then we're gonna see that this guy's heading this way, he's looking at us, we're quickly gonna go over here, and we can actually just keep walking to break line of sight. Now that we're up here, we can interrogate Latouche in this room to find out where the King of Beggars is, and from him we learn that he's in the catacombs beneath the old church. Now we need to get out of here. So I could just leave the way I came in, but because I didn't kill the guards down there, it's actually safer to escape from up here. We're going to headshot Phantom Blade this guy. And for a moment I considered killing this guy on the left as well, but then I realized you don't actually have to do that because he just stays there forever. And don't worry though, there is plenty of time for me to get detected by this guy. I slap him with a Berserk Blade, which is actually a mistake, and I'll explain why. But you can do that and then just leave. So the reason why it's a mistake is because gunners always die to one Phantom Blade quick shot. And the reason why you would want to Phantom Blade him over Berserk is because Berserks cost 250 livre, whereas a Phantom Blade only costs 200. So you're basically burning money for no reason doing that. Anyway, this is the actual main assassination. It's time to kill the King of Beggars. Now, there are opportunities below, or mod missions, as the original dev team calls them, but we're not going to be using any of them. We don't need them. What we're going to do is come over here, very quickly make our way to this area, climb this structure, wait for these guys to get out. You entering the area always spawns these guys, basically. So now we're gonna gently make our way down. Right here, select smoke, and what we're going to do is smoke onto all three of these guys, try to paint all of them with it. Stab this guy, and then interact with this to get to the next checkpoint. I'm gonna let this guy spot me until he looks that way, stab him. This guy's gonna go into red SSI. Whenever their awareness meter is red without capping out completely, they'll always move to where you left your hologram. And that's the last place they spotted you, it's where you broke line of sight. Excuse me. We can just leave that guy alone and keep moving. Right here, we're going to use a Berserk Blade to stun that guy, and then stab this brute, come over here, stab this guy, This is a very common technique that you'll see me use a few times, especially because I don't have double assassination. Killing this guy doesn't make enough noise, even with a default Arno, to alert the guard on the right there. So this room contains a few guards. We don't actually have to kill these guys, you can walk past them if you want. But I do anyway, just to make myself feel safer, control the space around me a bit more. But yes, it's 100% possible to just ghost everyone here.
Human, with me! Find him!
Moving up the ladder triggers a cutscene, which we skip. So right here, what we're going to do is lure this brute right toward us. There you go, his SSI changed to red, so he's guaranteed to be staring that way, which means he's not going to be staring over here. That lets us move this way. Now I'm actually a bit low on items, and I need to use smoke to move past these guys anyway, so I'm going to kill them to start looting their bodies. This is something you really don't do on a run where you have a bunch of upgrades and a bunch of money, because you can constantly resupply items very easily. But right here in the middle of a mission, when our max item capacity isn't very high, we only have 5 smokes, 5 phantoms, 2 berserks. Looting bodies is a big deal. So you see I got 2 smoke bombs, so I actually profited here. Like, I actually came out ahead. By staying crouched, you retain the fastest possible move speed in this area.
Embarrassing.
Okay. And now it's the proper assassination. This place is pretty much all traditional stealth. There are no civilians here, so there's no social stealth to speak of. This is an exercise if you want to stay completely stealthy. It's an exercise in killing everyone without being seen, just so you can create more safe spaces, basically. Just when guards can't stare through an area, you can move freely through that area. Which is just like a basic stealth game thing, and Assassin's Creed is heavily based on elimination stealth and kill stealth, rather than, you know, ghosting and things like that. So this is a general principle that you can apply to most Assassin's Creed games, especially the recent ones. Coming over here, there's really only this guy on the left to worry about before we can kill the target. So we're going to curve around the corner, stab him, and now we can begin climbing this. There is a sniper that will start staring at us on the other side of the room, but we don't care about him, because by the time he sees us, we'll have stabbed this guy already. And now I just have to leave. So he's not able to aim at me and shoot at me in time, and that's fine. I panic a little here. I jump here and I take too long and they see me, and I essentially just use the assassinate motion to get down, smoke them and keep moving. I'm gonna kill this guy, come over here, kill this guy. And there was no reason for me to do that, so it was probably just a missed input. There's no more gameplay here. Once we skip the cutscene, our next mission is the Silversmith, where Arno receives information from Marquis de Sade that there is a person who makes the metal pin that killed Monsieur de la Serre. So he's going to come over here and investigate this place. The easiest way to get this done is to come through here, kill this guy, fast lift onto the roof, because you basically need to cross to the other side of the building. We're going to jump across the street, get on these wooden planks here, and throw a smoke bomb through this window. If you do this right, the smoke cloud will actually cover the 2 brutes on the right. So you enter the window, You see these brutes? You don't worry about them. You run past them and you interact with the door. So this place is a little bit tough. This is our first real challenge on a no upgrade run. At this point, a player should be upgraded enough to clear this area no problem. Easy peasy, even if they get caught. So what we're gonna do is Phantom Blade these first two guys, and then wait for this gentleman to turn the corner.
What's happened? Is someone there?
Best we move on.
High profile cover assassinate, and now I'm gonna start looting these guys. Because this area is very resource heavy on a no upgrades run. I'm constantly checking my inventory to see what I've picked up, so that I don't have to wait for the hovering text to pop in. I'm gonna throw smoke right there. Assassinate this guy. Put smoke on myself, stab this guy. Phantom Blade that guy. Or maybe it was a Berserk Blade actually. Alright, now I'm in a fight, and I don't want to be in a fight. So I'm going to smoke and escape and come up here. Realistically, there's only one possible place I could go, but the AI doesn't really understand that, so it's safe to wait up here for your detection state to go away. One of those guys is still berserked, by the way, so they are fighting each other down there. When berserked enemies run out of other enemies to fight, they'll go into a short scouting mode where they look around looking for people to kill, and if they don't find anyone within a few moments, the poison will just burn them out. So once again, we burned more resources than we should have in that fight. But I just got back 2 smoke bombs, so that's good. And I'm happy with that, so I'll keep moving. Normally there would be guards here, but because we already lured them into the fight, they're not an issue. With these 4 guys, you can just shoot that person in the head, do the same to the brute guarding the door. You can throw a smoke into the room to paint both of those guys, and then just run in and stab them one by one. Now there's going to be 2 gunners across the street, and I actually make a mistake here. What you should do is throw the smoke bomb a little bit closer to yourself than I actually end up doing. So you'll see me do it here. When I take cover here, you want to throw the smoke bomb closer to yourself. The idea is that you put smoke in the street so that you can cross through it. Now they do lose me in the smoke eventually, but the initial detect is enough to get them super suspicious, and you can avoid that by just smoking a little closer. Okay, so that guy has seen me. Phantom Blade's auto-kill gunners. Now, Arno can't actually shoot when he's on that kind of environmental object. When he's standing on what's considered like a pole of some sort, or like a vertical spire, he can't use items, which is really frustrating, but it's something that you kind of just learn to deal with. I get what I call a phantom smoke bomb here, where the animation goes off, but the bomb doesn't actually leave Arno's hand. So I smoke in here in order to make this fight easier, so I can land free hits on this normal guard. Now, defenders are kind of difficult to fight, especially on a no upgrades Arno when you don't have staggering strike to do after a perfect parry. So what we do is we perfect parry and tag him with a berserk blade. This lets us stab him. This basically lets you skip fights with single targets. So this mission's over. We're gonna move on to Hollo Bleh. Hollo Bleh is extremely easy. If you know what you're doing, it's probably the easiest mission in the game. Our only objective here is to get to a book on the second floor.
That is a distressingly large number of guns. Lafreniere must be planning something big.
So there's gonna be a bit of waiting involved here because I don't get the best pattern for these guys. I'm gonna move closer to this brute so he can be highlighted in red. This means if I press my assassinate button, Arno will kill him. As soon as the guard in the background turns away, I kill him. Come over here, kill this guy. And now we can climb up, smoke this gunner. This both stuns him and shrouds our area from the brute below us. And by the time we jump out to this line, we're so far out of line of sight that it doesn't matter. When we investigate this book, it triggers a cutscene that causes this whole place to start burning to the ground. And now we basically have like a cinematic, Uncharted-y escape sequence, basically. There's really not much to this, it's literally just holding parkour and pressing the right buttons.
Maybe I should have thought this through.
You can side hop onto this wood. Okay, so now we have to assassinate this guy named Lafreniere. And we're going to open by jumping over here, going to the left and killing this guard. On the left here. I basically just don't want this guy looking at me on my way back to this haystack. I'm gonna kill the bell anyway, because why not? Now here there's an opportunity where it affords an ability to escape the area when you're caught. So we're gonna kill these guys, come downstairs. This first guy takes no resources. These three guys will take a smoke bomb. Once I kill them, it finishes the objective here, which opens this up as an escape route, and I'll start looting them in order to check for my items back. I got 2 bullets, which is completely worthless to us on this playthrough. I got a smoke bomb, so as soon as I got my 5th smoke bomb back, I cancel the loot animation on that guy, and I just keep moving. That's what I was looking for. I'm gonna remove this marker, put it here, just in case. I was testing to see if this marker actually persists after this cutscene, and I think I found out that no, it doesn't, which is a shame. It would have been really cool.
I love it when the target
But
comes to me.
using those kind of markers by holding zoom and then pressing your cover button or your jump button is really useful. It's supposed to be for co-op coordination, but it's handy to use for yourself in single player as well. So I decide to kill these guys in case Lafreniere comes over here, but it turns out not to be necessary because I end up killing him earlier. This is just kind of insurance, basically. Like, there are 4 of these people, maybe more, 5? I don't know, 4 or 5 of them. And it's just nice to get them out of the way. We can cover kill this gentleman, which makes no hidden blade sound for funny reasons. And now Lafreniere is going to walk around. So what we want to do is wait for him to cross through this area here.
Is all in readiness?
Oui, monsieur. The men know their duties. The bastards won't escape us tonight.
Good. The enemy has thwarted us for the last time.
As you say, master.
You might have heard the detection meter ping after I stabbed that guy, so someone definitely saw us, and that's where our escape route from earlier comes into play. As you can see, the marker here doesn't persist, but I remember where it was. I smoke bomb in the narrow part of the walkway there, so that's a skill that you should remember. Basically, if you're trying to smoke bomb in order to get away, smoke through an area that they have to move through, and it will basically stun them when they try to go through it. Whereas if you smoke like a wider area, sometimes they might go around it and things like that. So just smoke narrow choke points. Here, there are these two guys. We can just kill the first dude to open space and then just run, pretty much. Remember that side hops are a quick way to climb buildings. To side hop, you make sure that your hands are parallel on the wall to an adjacent little platform or beam jutting out of it, and then you hold high profile and move your movement toward that direction. So this mission is the Jacobin Club. Our goal here is to tail La Touche and to find out what's going on with the Templars and what they're planning. This is another kind of free-form, stealthy environment with a lot of guards. I was considering making a video on this mission, a Stealth Reaper, and it hasn't happened yet, but maybe someday. Because it is quite a nice little playground. Has both interiors and exteriors. It's almost like an easier version of the Hoarders mission, in a way. Don't get me wrong, it's still pretty tough and challenging, especially in some of the interior rooms, but, you know, it's not Hoarders hard. We're gonna peek in here using Eagle Vision and move through this window.
If you're smart, you'll let it lie.
And actually, we don't need to kill these guys. I got disoriented here. So what we could have done is actually just left all these people alone. But I didn't know that. And we're gonna kill them anyway, so that our escape is easier. So if you notice what I did there, one of the brutes detected me even though I threw the smoke bomb, which would have made it impossible for me to assassinate either of them, because if Arno's in combat mode, he can't use his hidden blade. So what I did is I only berserked the one that had detected me, and that essentially lets me go forward and stealth kill both of them, which is like a neat little bit of tech that you can steal from me. If you ever notice you smoke an area and only one of the guards somehow detects you while the other ones are stunned and coughing, just Berserk Blade the single guard that knows where you are, and then you'll be able to hidden blade all of them. So you can see me get turned around here. I go this way, and I look around, and then I realize, oh, wait, this isn't the place I need to go. This is the wrong direction. And after I kill this guy, I turn back, and I head back the way I'm actually supposed to go.
Worthy of death under Tiberius to praise Brutus. Caligula,
condemned to death those who were
So there's Latouche. We need to tail him until he leads us to the information we're looking for.
Once tyranny invented the cry of injured majesty, which were actions either indifferent or heroic. Who could have dared to think
How much longer must we wait? I do have other business to tend
without
to.
rendering himself guilty of the same crime?
We can cover kill this guard.
I trust we'll finally learn the meaning behind our
Monstrous union
All will
between
be made clear. I don't like it. The plan is still too vulnerable. And let's not forget, Lafreniere is still out there somewhere, waiting to burn us all at the stake.
Tom, you haven't heard yet then?
Heard what?
Well, Lafreniere is dead. Ours, in fact. Assassins.
That seems convenient.
That's the thing about assassins. Point them at a Templar conspiracy. They ask no questions. Go right for the kill. Predictable.
So from this conversation, you realize that Arno Dorian has actually been used by these rising new group of Templars in order to eliminate a high-ranking Templar in their organization so that they can move up the chain and seize more power. And this theme of infighting among both of these factions is something that you'll see throughout this game. Both the Templar Order and the Assassin Brotherhood have conflicts not only against each other, but also internally within themselves, and it's something that leads to a great deal of tragedy on both sides.
Why would he reduce himself to employing the death penalty?
You finished?
Near enough. Now here's the thing. I can go on like this all day. But you got an hour left in you? 2 at the most? Half if I bring out the sharp bits. So why not skip the end game and go directly to mate? Tell me where it is, and all this can be over. What was that? You're a smart man.
Roy, clean up your mess. It's time.
Be right there. You heard the weasel, boys?
See, the wolves made a meal of you.
Here we get our introduction to Rui, who is a target that we'll be taking down later. But for now, we just know of him as the Templar's kind of master interrogator. He's a dude who's just kind of like amazing at extracting information from people.
My boys are watching the whole place.
He has other functions in the Order as well, but right now that's all we really know about him. Latouche actually gets a glimpse of me here because I was a bit too zealous moving down the stairs. But because it was only yellow SSI, he forgets about us pretty quickly. I'm throwing around the term SSI a bit without actually explaining what it is. It's a holdover from the original Assassin's Creed games. It stands for Social Status Indicator, and it's basically their detection meter. It goes from yellow to red, and then when red fills up completely, you're in combat. I call it SSI because it's short, sweet, and it's an Assassin's Creed specific term, which is something I really like. Okay, so there's 2 of these guys here, actually 3, I believe. So we're gonna stab this guy from range with a Phantom Blade, throw smoke, stab this guy, and basically get the hell out of there.
Seems we have a spy, boys. Catch him!
Watch the exits.
Yes, do watch the exits. Okay, so we need to make our way 1 floor higher than this. Actually, never mind, we're right here. And what we're gonna do is very quickly crouch right here. Smoke bomb on top of ourselves.
Seems we have a spy, boys. What the hell?
Kill this guy. This actually gets the other 2 to detect us. But that's fine, they're only level 1s. We can just dance between them and take them out. This room that we cleared earlier, you can see their weapons are still on the floor even though the Animus has despawned their bodies. It lets us escape very easily. So we run out into the Parisian night. A crowd event spawns here, and throughout this run, I advise doing as many crowd events as you can, because you really need the money. So Arno has learned from the previous cutscene that we skipped that the Templars are planning to eliminate, quote, the Delasere girl. So obviously we can kind of see the infighting at this point. If you're following the story, if you're actually playing the game and watching every cutscene like a normal person, we see the growing internal war among the Templar Order. Really, they just want to destroy Elise, kill her, because she's the last remnant of the old guard. She's the last remnant of what the Templar Order was originally in this game. And Germain and his Templar associates want to seize power. They want control of the Templar Order. They have their own plans. They need to kill Elise for their wishes to come true, essentially. And Arno is not cool with that because he loves this woman.
What's going on? Where is Monsieur Lafreniere?
He's dead.
What?
This transitions smoothly into gameplay, so I just let it run.
No way past this one.
Shall we?
I immediately climb up here in order to get a free kill. And it doesn't really work out that way, because for whatever reason, even though they hadn't detected me, the rules of this fight kind of dictate that no matter what you do, Arno's gonna get detected. So here I get a weird glitch. It acts like a combo kill from AC1, where you saw he was at full health, but my Arno crit or whatever, which is not a mechanic that exists in this game, by the way. So I thank my lucky stars that whatever happened there happened, because that guy was an elite or an agile, and those are extremely difficult to fight with no upgrades. They're actually hard to fight even with upgrades, but yeah, that's how it went down. So here you don't actually need to find a way out. You can just jump over the hedge and keep moving. I don't know if Jay will ever watch this video, but credits to JLG for telling me about this trick. Anyway, so we're gonna double kill these guys without waiting for Elise to do them. You might have remembered this segment from the recent video I uploaded, where it's literally just this segment snipped out from this larger video. I thought it was interesting enough to act as like a little taste, a little teaser, a preview. And on reflection, on second thought, I think if I were really super serious about making this like a proper video, I would probably have done it without any eagle vision and with HUD like completely ripped out with that awesome mod that Treviso uses. But the section is still pretty cool, and it's the first time I've done some of the cool stuff I do here, because it's the first time I've done this section since learning Berserk trick. So here I'm going to Berserk this guy. Even though our Berserk reading says we have 0 now, that's actually not true. We have 1 that's loaded into our gauntlet. Now it's red, now we have none at all. We're gonna wait for Elise to stab him, and then we can leave. The next mission involves...
François Germain believed Lafreniere has...
François Germain?
Yes.
Where is he?
His shop's on the Rue Saint-Antoine. Why?
Exactly. The next mission involves Arno telling Elise that Germain was a dude that he met, and she's like, wait, what? What the hell? And then she just runs off. So you're both going to go investigate that guy's house.
What are you doing? We're the true patriots! Where are you going? Slow down! Elise!
Probably an informer too. You look like a leader. Oh, you've been getting into politics?
I'll not discuss this in the street.
Now.
What was that about?
Honor. François Germain was my father's lieutenant.
What?
He was cast out of the order when I was a girl. Something about heretical notions or Jacques de Molay, I'm not entirely sure. But he should be dead. He died years ago.
Did anyone tell him that?
I would very much like to ask him a few questions.
So would I.
So now Arno and Elise are going to investigate this guy's house. And some pretty tough stuff is gonna go down here.
Empty.
Upstairs. That's where his workshop was.
Let's go.
It might not even be the same Germain.
Tall, grey hair, eyes two different colors.
Alright, perhaps it is the same Germain.
That last bit is very important. Eyes, two different colors. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, at this point you kind of know that he is a sage, because there's only one type of character in Assassin's Creed's world that has heterochromia, and the series never uses other heterochromic characters without making them sages. It's kind of like a storytelling thing. You don't introduce more noise into the picture by
Looks like no one's home.
You know, by using a way to code one character on like a generic character that isn't like that, kind of.
Elise.
It's just a way to maintain clarity in the story. But anyway, yeah, there's only sages in AC Universe have heterochromia, so as soon as they say, oh, eyes two different colors, you immediately know what's going on here, if you've played Black Flag. So anyway, this fight, I don't recommend actually fighting in this fight. At first, I attempt to shoot these guys, but they wriggle around way too much to actually be shot, and then I run out of phantom blades. So I throw a second smoke bomb, and then just go in and start killing them. At this point, Elise and Arno get ambushed by these like gunners, kind of like besieged by them, and I'm completely out of phantom blades because I failed my shot earlier. So what I do is I berserk one of these gunners, and if I'm lucky, this will get me 2 kills rather than just 1. And it does. As you can see, they're aiming at each other, and my berserk gunner wins this duel because he shoots first. But then the second one, after he shot, they all aggroed him, and this time he will fail the duel and he will die. What this does is it opens this rooftop ahead of me, and it allows me to take that territory. So what I can do now is I can smoke through that window onto that gunner and give him a stun. And now, because there are no gunners on this rooftop, I can move through this space. And I can come up here, and I can kill this guy. I have 2 smoke bombs. I'm not going to manage to get the assassination on this guy, but at least I won't let him shoot me, which is good because bullets hurt really bad. And a parry. Kill him. I was just mashing click there, so Arno just destroyed him. And I'm waiting for Arno to put his sword away, but he's not going to do that, because technically we're still in a fight. There's only this guy left. You can see the faction system at work here. A blue guard is fighting these guys, and he actually did kill the gunner. So now we can actually leave. And this is what I was talking about. You see how this guy has so much HP? We could be clicking on that guy for years and nothing would happen. So it's fine to just exit. Okay, here we've got not a very gameplay heavy section, but essentially Arno comes over here. He's introduced Elise to the assassins, and his mentor, Pierre Bellec, he doesn't like Elise. He doesn't like Templars at all. Bellec is kind of like an assassin zealot, like an assassin fanatic. He has absolutely no belief that Templars can be, you know, helpful or sympathetic or just anyone to be treated well, basically. So he poisons Mirabeau in order to prevent an alliance between assassins and Templars. Now, this apothecary was the one who gave him the poison, and Arno needs to chase him down. And there's a trick you can do here. If you select restart from checkpoint when this happens, and run forward and start spamming your Berserk Blade, you can tag him with Berserk Blades, which causes him to stop walking, and then you can tackle him early and basically speedrun this section.
Bellec, you know I can't do that.
That's a pity.
This is the only real boss fight in the entire game. So this fight is extremely resource intensive. It has 3 or 4 phases. I believe it has 4 phases. In phase 1, we're just going to try to use as few weapons as possible, essentially. Just gonna try to fight him normally. And it's not a very entertaining thing to watch, honestly, because he has so much HP, and because we don't have Staggering Strike, it's very hard to open him up to attack. If we had a pistol that fires quickly, you can actually drain pretty much all of his HP just by repeatedly spamming gunshots on him. So it's not much of a boss fight if you do it that way. So he can perfect parry you, which is something that's very rare. Like, not many guards do that, and he's max level, 5 out of 5. When you get him to about half HP, it triggers this quick time event that you can engage. You can walk up to him, start spamming your loot button, and this causes a stage transition and transitions to phase 2 of the fight. So now you're in this part of the church, and you have a battlefield that's a little bit wider. Now what you'll notice is when I actually manage to hit him, his health bar is actually full again. So it's not about depleting his HP to 0, it's about transitioning every phase into the next phase. And that usually means putting his HP down to like half each time. So because this is kind of the longest phase, we end up using more blades to open him up. Now, there's a glitch that happens in this fight if you try to reload a blade type that you are empty on. Or at least that's kind of the feeling I get. And what ends up happening is whenever I try to use my quick shot button, you'll see Arno go for a gun that doesn't actually exist. And that's not supposed to be happening. He's just supposed to reload his Phantom Blade. But yeah, this glitch is very, very troublesome, and it basically means that I can't use my projectiles for this fight until the game randomly decides to not have that glitch happen anymore. Which does happen once we transition into the next phase.
I had hopes for you. I thought you could think for yourself. I can, Bellec. Open your eyes, boy. I've seen Templars put entire villages to the sword just for the chance of killing one assassin. Tell me, in your vast experience, what have you seen?
I've seen the Grand Master of the Templar Order take in a frightened orphan and raise him as his own son.
Next phase is here, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using smoke bombs to try to push him into a corner. And the reason why you want to push him into a corner is because if you do that, triple hit is a perfect parry. When you push him into a corner, you can attack with smoke much more freely. Because the problem with smoking character is that Arno's attacks always do knockback. So eventually, they'll just be knocked all the way out of the smoke cloud, and they won't be stunned anymore, and you won't be able to hit them for free anymore. Whereas if they're in a corner, what you can see me do is you can see me weave a smoke bomb into the triple hit combo. And actually, this game has kind of like a... Even though the only combo you can do is that basic 3-hit combo, so it's not very complex and not very strategic, it remembers, kind of like Bayonetta, what hit of the combo you were on if you use an item. So if you hit 2 sword strikes and then you smoke, and then you do a 3rd sword strike, Arno will actually do the 3rd hit of the combo instead of restarting from the 1st hit. So it lets you basically weave items into combo flow, which is the only way to extend a combo.
It doesn't have to be this way, Bellec. You're the one who's making it so. If you just see sense, we could take the Brotherhood to a height we've not seen in 200 years. Yes, killing everyone who disagrees with you is a brilliant way to start your rise from the ashes.
Look out!
So, now we see the heart of it. It's not Mirabeau that's poisoned your mind, it's her. She's the last piece of this god-fucked lunacy.
Bellec.
You'll thank me for this. One day.
I always thought this was hilarious, because it's like, if you think for 1 second I'm gonna kill my hot redhead girlfriend for your fucking rogue cult, you got another thing coming. Honey, you've got a big storm coming! Okay, so the game basically makes you lose your HUD now. So you just have to pay attention to what Bellec's actually doing. Either that, or I just got a very appropriate glitch. So you can see, Arno's going for a gun that he doesn't actually have, because I'm trying to reload my blade, and it's just not letting me do it. When he flashbangs like that, you should try to avoid damage. When he shoulder charges you, or staggering strike is the actual name, just dodge, again, dodge out of the way. And now the game finally decides to start working properly, and I have my Phantom Blades, which means I can output a great deal of damage onto him if I actually start landing hits. So Elise will warn you, you can dodge out of that air assassination.
You had your chance, fist bump.
I do a 3-hit combo to do the maximum knockback and then use it to reload my blade. Do a 3-hit combo. He's gonna parry me. I dodge out of that. He drops the smoke bomb. They really should have synced that animation a lot better. He ends up air assassinating somewhere where you aren't even occupying. 1-2 reload animation.
You had your chance, fist bump.
He perfect parries me. Tries to shoulder charge me. 1. Perfect parry. Hit. Hit. Phantom Blade. And we kill him now.
to interrupt, you know, what was quite a poignant moment, but we've got more trouble. Bishop, are you there?
I hear it. You know what to do.
Opening a bridge now.
You know, Deacon, I think Abstergo are still riled up about your job last month.
Oh, you don't say. Okay, the bridge is open. Go.
You can't snoop around Abstergo's secret data without ruffling a few feathers, right?
Well, we didn't just snoop, did we? We stole their data, destroyed their precursor samples, and what else? Oh yeah, we melted a few of their servers.
That'll do it.
So Abstergo are scanning for us again. We need to escape the server to prevent our brain from turning into goop. Would not feel very good if that happened, because then we wouldn't be able to play Assassin's Creed games anymore, and really, that's kind of a terrible fate, no matter how weird the games get, and how little care for consistency the franchise displays nowadays. But anyway, we're gonna rush through here, and I'll leave these server bridges kind of in if I have things that I want to talk about,
See you on the other side.
because they're really just movement and there's not much interesting about them. But regarding the Bellec fight, one of the nice things about playing it on no upgrades is that it actually feels like a boss fight. No, it's not a very good boss fight, but it feels like a boss fight.
Here we go again. Back inside a mess of broken code. This time the portal is above you, a few hundred meters.
So this is World War II Paris. I think they pretty much only did this to allow us to climb the most dangerous viewpoint in the franchise.
These memories are way too dangerous. You need to find a way out. I'll guide you as best I can.
Essentially, like, you can't make an Assassin's Creed game in Paris without letting us climb the Eiffel Tower. And if the Eiffel Tower wasn't built in the time period that your game is set in, well, tough luck. You just gotta find a way to put it in there. So, I believe I actually get hit by the spotlight, yeah. If you fall into the spotlight deep enough, it will lock onto you and a sniper will fire a bullet at you. You can usually dodge that by being a little more patient. But even on the default health pool, it's not lethal. So you can tank one and you're fine. Now here, you don't want to jump straight forward. You want to actually veer to the bottom and then move to the right and then jump up here. Because this spotlight will sweep to the right, and if it sees you, a sniper will shoot you again. You can side hop up here to climb really quickly. Now, these planes, you don't actually have to fight them. You can just dodge around them. So we're going to wait for the bullets to go away, and as usual, when we cover against incoming projectiles, we usually want to aim Arno's head into the cover, because sometimes the game has a problem with hitboxes where if you cover too close to the edge and your head is poking out, you can actually be clipped by incoming fire, as well as the debris from the first server bridge.
There it is. Your way out. Hurry!
Look at how beautiful this background looks. This place always made an impression on me. It just makes me think like, oh, I want to play an Assassin's Creed game set in that period, like a full open world with like electricity and stuff. Would be awesome. Imagine the nighttime cityscapes and how cool they would look. I overshoot my platforming target here. And yeah, you can dodge the other pair of planes as well. You don't have to actually fight them. So when we go up here, you're gonna see two of these guys, and we can just move forward, cover behind these sandbags here. So what I need to wait for is for the second plane's bullet animation to finish. Okay, he turns around and we can go. So you can climb up here, climb up here. You basically just want to move as quickly as you can, because they're still going to try to spray you up here. I do take a hit. I think he just hits me in the leg. And I pop one medicine to heal it.
Damn it, it's gone. Keep going. We can reopen it.
Okay. So yeah, the whole bridge is just, we have to find the player an excuse to do a leap of faith off the Eiffel Tower. This mission is called the September Massacres. Or, no, actually that's the next one. This is the King's Correspondence. And basically, the assassins are like, hey, you know Mirabeau, our like huge mentor who got poisoned by Bellec and stuff? Yeah, he was in correspondence with the king, and if Templars find these letters, they will be able to purge all our agents across France, and then we're screwed. So Arno, you have to go in, infiltrate the place, make people ragdoll hilariously, burn the letters, and get out alive. So what I'm gonna do is smoke these guys, kill them all, and hunt for some items, basically. I want to see if I can pick up tools. Now, if you notice, I've actually got a great deal of money, and part of the reason for that is because initially this game had a companion app for Android and iOS, and Ubisoft at some point decided to remove the game's restrictions and requirements to play the companion app. So now anything that you would have unlocked from the cell phone app is actually innately in the game, and that includes these little companion missions. And these companion missions are literally one objective, like assassinate this one guy, or protect this target, or steal this item. And they usually only take like a minute to finish. They're really short, they're really easy, and they often give money amounts in the thousands. So on a no upgrade run, doing those companion missions is extremely important, because it's a way that you can grind for money. And there's really two reasons you would grind for money on a no upgrade run, because you need to restock items, and also because in the Le Pelletier assassination, you need 4,000 livres to open a window so you can get in. This guy actually looks at me, and I pop smoke and pop him in the head with a phantom blade. I know that I can't really do the same thing with this second guy, and I don't have room for error because he's an agile, so I just Berserk blade him to get the stun, and then walk up and kill him. Can see me looking for items, and I'm basically just trying to get back a Berserk blade, because I would really like to have one for the upcoming fight. So I phantom this guy in the head, 1-2 punch the next guy who promptly begins breakdancing in the throes of death. I found that funny. So he only gives me cherry bombs, which is a damn shame. And I don't believe I get any items off of these people. None that I didn't have already, anyway. Okay, so basically we're gonna have to end up doing this fight without Berserk blades. Which means we have to use an alternate strat that people are gonna yell at me for, but that's fine. I'm I'm Lee, okay, I can take the heat. You can scream at me all you like. My methods produce results. Alright. This brute, we are going to get out of cover for a moment, which causes him to be able to see us, and then we snap back into cover, which causes him to be unable to see us. And then we high profile assassinate him out of the corner. He drops tobacco. Too bad Arno can't use Deadeye, otherwise that would have been very useful. Drops 3 phantom blades, which is very nice. But still no Berserk blade. Which means we have to use smoke bombs.
You certainly don't look like a blood-crazed revolutionary. The hood is a bit sinister, though, if you don't mind my saying.
Serving as rear guard, are you? Convenient how that puts several locked doors between you and the fighting.
Oh, I'm not here at all. Not officially, anyway. But how often does one find the opportunity to poke about in a king's private study?
Looking for anything in particular?
State secrets, private correspondences, personal treasures, that sort of thing.
I do hope we're not eyeing the same prize.
Name it.
Certain letters written to the king, ripe for misunderstanding, should the wrong men find them.
I see. Well, then perhaps we can help each other. I believe the king has built a hidden vault somewhere in here. If only we could find it.
You were saying?
Very nicely done, my friend. Incredible.
Find your prize?
A cornucopia, yes. And you?
Believe so. Yes. This is it.
In the Assassin's Creed universe, the only stuff that glows that kind of golden light is pieces of Eden, usually.
What is that? Our way out.
So I believe it's implied that Napoleon found an apple here. Okay, so this fight is pretty interesting. Because at first, it starts out with level 1s, but with every wave that comes at you, their level increases. We don't have Berserk Blades, so we can't turn their level advantage to our advantage, but we do have the strongest weapon in the game, which is corners. When you're covered around a corner and you smoke people so that they are stunned and they can't act, you can basically spam corner assassinates on them over and over and over again until they're all dead. This third guy, we can't actually corner assassinate him here because he's wriggled his way over here, but we can cover on this wall and take him out that way. So this is literally the fastest and easiest way to finish that fight.
Let's go.
Watch them, men. God will judge you. Sons of bitches! Silence! Keep an eye on them, bastards! Fucking hell. What a mess. What do we do with the body?
So this is the September Massacres. This mission is generally pretty easy to get through right up until the end, which is when it gets pretty intense. I'm gonna peer through here. Smoke those guys. Smoke bombs are cheap. I think they cost either 40 or 50 livres, whereas Phantom Blades and Berserk Blades cost 200 and 250. So if you are ever in doubt as to whether you should use a smoke bomb or a blade and you're playing a low resource, no upgrades run, just use the smoke bomb. It's so much cheaper. Like, the game really hammers in how much it wants you to use this item because it's inexpensive and it's so powerful.
Anyone else? He's on the roof. Good lad. Come on, boys. Upstairs. What's happening here?
The reason I use a Phantom Blade instead of smoking there is because there are two guards to the left, at the window on the left that we don't see. There they are. And if I smoke bombed, they would actually hear it and turn around and see that guy. But if I Phantom Blade him, they actually don't hear it, nor do they get alerted in any way by this defender screaming his lungs out. So once he forgets about it, you can come over here, take him out, then turn around, smoke these guys. Normally I would pass them by, but on the off chance that they have items that I want, I do want to check their bodies. So one of my goals here is to get Roy to come to the low ground. And one of the ways I am going to do that is by getting accidentally detected here, which isn't the way I intended to do it, but it kind of ends up working out. Because all of these folks come down here now. If I were smarter, I wouldn't have risked letting that guy see me by stabbing his buddy. I would have just berserked one of them and then stabbed the other one, or smoked right on top of myself before even killing them. But anyway, Roy is mostly stationary when he's not investigating anything, so after everyone leaves him alone, you can just come up here, stab him, and no one even sees us. Can jump over here and pretty much just leave the way we came in from, which is very convenient. And we're out of here. When the item pop hits, you can tell that the mission's over. So this is Starving Times. It's when Arno is starting to do some research and realizing, hey, wait a minute, Marie Levesque is the next target that we want to take down. What's she doing? Where is she at? You know. And we realize that she is hoarding grain in a time of famine, which is causing unrest among the civilian population. And that's exactly what the Templars want at this point. They want to weaken and harass and starve and just make the people suffer and then give them someone to blame. And when they do this, they can aim the people's wrath at the correct targets, which is kind of almost like using assassin tactics in a way. But obviously with a great disregard for the health, safety, and quality of life of these citizens, which is not how assassins would act. Cutscene plays, we're gonna skip it. Now I do something really foolish here, which I'm not very proud of, but we're just gonna deal with it. So, essentially, I forget that I really want to be going past those red guys on the right. And I think that I can just take out this gunner for free because no one's looking at me. But actually, those guys turned out to be staring at me the whole time for some reason, so they all instantly aggro lock onto me. And that's just one of those elements of AC Unity that you sort of have to accept or begin to anticipate. because you saw that they weren't actually looking at me at all. And then when I went to shoot the guy, somehow instantly they heard that silent projectile and that guy's death, even though he was so far away, and no one in the actual area heard it. They just immediately turn, snap onto you, and want you dead. But we vanished by climbing up this building, and then we're gonna come over here. So these guys are smoked, they're stunned, but for some ungodly reason, even though they're stunned, this guy actually sees me. I'm gonna Berserk Blade him, stab him. And now we just have to steal what that guy's carrying. So we're gonna headshot this guy. We're out of range for that. Before I get the detection to propagate among everyone, I'm just gonna quickly stab this guy. Smoke onto his corpse so I can loot it. And at first I think I can maybe fight these guys, but when there's two of them and they start pulling guns out and start attracting others, I realize I have to leave. So I just smoke and run away because my objective is finished anyway and I no longer have a reason to be in this area. Smoke these guys for the stun, create a pocket of safety, move through the pocket of safety, and we're out of here. This is possibly the most difficult assassination in the game for a lot of players. It's one of the first that will give them a lot of trouble, I feel. It certainly gave me a lot of trouble the first time I played it, but it's an assassination that becomes significantly easier through knowledge. Whereas some of the later ones, like Rise of the Assassin for example, are just brutally difficult, even if you know exactly what you're doing. Whereas this one, if you know exactly what you're doing, it becomes really easy. Those of you who have followed my channel know exactly what kind of techniques I'll be using to get through this. I'm very predictable that way, because it really works, and on a run like this, you want to rip away every single advantage from the enemy that you can. And that means playing in, if you can find a technique that is extremely powerful while also being extremely easy to execute, like that's exactly what you're looking for, that's what you want to use. So I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to smoke in front of myself to create like a wall between myself and this guy, move through the smoke, and then high profile assassinate him. I pinged the surrounding environment a few times with Eagle Vision to check for guards, but I don't think there's really any. And then we're gonna move up here. Here, because we only have a maximum of 2 Phantom Blades at all times, and I think I'm actually only carrying 1 right now, and I need that Berserk Blade, I should say. I need the Berserk Blade in order to kill Marie with, so I have to save it. I can't burn it on any of these guards, which means I have to be extra careful because I basically don't have a method of, you know, saving myself if they start to look at me. So we're gonna come here, kill this guy. We still don't own this territory yet. We're gonna kill this guy. Now we own this hallway. This is now our space. We control this space. And by killing this brute, we now control both of these hallways. So what we do is we berserk this gunner who begins to open fire on the guards below. And what this lets us do is come over here. I don't have time to fight this guy, so I Berserk Blade him to stop the fight, and this lets me do an assassinate on him. And now Marie's gonna come through here any minute now. There she is, because she's terrified of the Berserk Gunner. She always runs here. You can memorize this. You can ambush her here every single time. It's just a way to make this mission extremely easy. And she's dead. One funny thing I always like to do, it's kind of like my signature, is I always loot her when I leave, because she's supposed to be this rich aristocrat, but all she has is 10 livres and a smoke bomb. Which is, you know, Ubisoft doesn't really... They don't do like the Arcane Studios thing, where even the items of characters carrying on them speaks as to who they really are. It's not something that happens. But yeah, that's one of the easiest assassinations in the game if you know what you're doing. And if you know the trick there. So now we have the escape. there's really not much to say here. I begin by fighting these guys, and I don't want to waste too many resources, because I also don't have that many resources to waste. So what you see me do is bouncing from guard to guard. Doing this, attacking different guards with each attack, actually decreases the likelihood that one will block your attack. And it also applies hit stun to everyone around you. So you basically manage their aggression by preventing any of them from attacking. This is pretty much how you can be aggressive in a fight with Arno, if you don't have a super strong weapon. What I'm gonna do is smoke onto, excuse me, sure, why not, right there. Because this creates a little wall of smoke, and I'm in the edge of it, so I can carve this out of the way. I'm gonna throw smoke there again, because guards like to spawn there, and if they walk into the smoke, they will not be able to move toward me. And now we just have to follow this balloon until the very end of this checkpoint. I have a really adorable video of this mission on my channel, and I love it so much. They're adorable. The bratty sass that Elise gives Arno and the sarcasm he gives her back is fucking precious. So the controls sort of fail me once or twice during this mission, which is kind of aggravating, but what can you do? There's not much else to say here. I'll just let the footage speak for itself.
What happened? I think the rope's caught! You! Oh, just hang on! Get down here! Stop! Arno! Are you alright? I'm alright!
Hitting the ground here doesn't void the full sync requirements. However, accidentally leap of faithing to the ground, like I did in the first part of this mission, does void that requirement. So, yes, if the controls mess with you, if you're just trying to do a parkour down, but Arno decides to... I love this little interaction. I pretty much always do it. If Arno decides to leap of faith down against your will, then you're gonna have to replay it. So one of the fun things that you can kind of notice about this scene, or one of the ways you can choose to read it, is that the closer the hot air balloon gets to the river, the more desperate and worried Elise gets for Arno. Really, it's just her, like, hey, hurry up lines that happen if you get too far away from her, but she starts to say them with an increasing level of frequency near the end of the mission.
We're almost at the river! I'm just coming!
So this is our next assassination. This is a dinner engagement. Before this mission, I recommend grinding 4,000 livres because you need it in order to get through a window. And if you don't do that, the mission becomes significantly more challenging. And it also takes much longer to finish, in my opinion. So I like this mission because it's one of the rare examples of social stealth actually being in AC Unity in a main mission that the player has to go through, which, believe it or not, this game actually does not have a great many examples of. You can do some blending and some social stealth in Hoarders as well during certain points, but it's most pronounced here. It's a huge wide open space, lots of blend groups to blend with. And there's even some indoors, which is usually when Assassin's Creed and social stealth start to kind of break down. But in this mission, there's some crowds in there as well.
Pardon, mademoiselle. Monsieur Le Pelletier has complained of stuffiness in his office. Could you open the window?
What are you on about? Monsieur hates a drafty room.
Would this persuade you?
Oui, monsieur. Remy, open the window. Monsieur Le Pelletier finds his office a bit stuffy.
But you said...
Just do it!
All right.
Okay, so once you've given this woman some money, you can come up here. And I press the wrong button, so I drop a bit. Embarrassing, but not that damaging, ultimately. Okay, so the guards here control this space, as usually happens in stealth games. So what we're gonna do is take them out so that we can control this space.
Might be trouble.
Okay, these guys are all gone now. We can move through this area freely. Now we need to clear this next hallway. So I consider for a moment just popping that guy with a phantom blade, but it would cause a bit too much of a ruckus. So instead I come here, kill this guy, high profile slam this guy against the wall. Try to move through here before the others see me, before the smoke dissipates. And they're gonna breadcrumb through here basically, so you can do 1, 2. Easy. Here's the target. We have to stab that guy. His function is basically, he was the last vote cast that would determine whether the king would live or die. And on Germain's orders, he voted for the king to die. So he's a bit of an asshole, this one. He looks so smug when he does it too. That's what I don't like about him. He's, in a way, he's honestly like more of a worm than Latouche. He's just such a like filthy, greasy dude. Doesn't even get his own hands actually dirty. And then we stab him. Very satisfying to kill this guy because I just have a personal dislike of him. I don't know. Le Pelletier is a character that just pisses me off, just like Latouche. I hate both of them. Like as in, like, they're well written in the sense that they make me hate them. Like, I hate them for the character they are, not for like, for execution or whatever. So, yes, they're characters that I love to hate. Just like Cesare Borgia. I hate Cesare Borgia. He's written so well. He's written perfectly to make me hate him. So this area is covered in guards, which I had forgotten about. So we're gonna leave. And this is one aspect of AC Unity, and maybe Syndicate, although my memory of Syndicate is a bit fuzzy when I try to think about that. But this is an element of AC Unity that I really enjoy, and it's something that it brings back from the original Assassin's Creed games, you know, the old ones. It's that once you finish an assassination, you still have to escape, you still have to get out of the area. Right, so this mission is one of two that really annoys me in this game. But during this run, I discovered a pretty easy way to get through it. If you're doing your job right and you get a little bit lucky, it's quite simple to deal with. So we're going to move through here so I can show you that this is the extent of the movement you have access to when you're in this crowd. This crowd is just here to let you scout. Here is your point of ingress. Here's where you really want to be going. So what you can do is you can wait for the guy in the back to turn around, and then smoothly blend assassinate through this guy. Then what you can do is kill this dude, and then immediately turn right. And then come up here, blend through this crowd, drop down, and very quickly, before anyone has eyes on you, you can move up to Germain. And this triggers a cutscene, and at this point you don't actually have to kill these guys, you just have to waste their time. You have to prevent them from hitting Elise. So the thing you need to remember about brutes is that brutes will always take damage. They can never ever block. Their whole thing is that they're extremely tanky and they have really durable health bars. But basically just dance between targets, waste their time, prevent them from doing attack animations. Whenever you hear Arno say something like Elise wait, it means she's moved on to the next encounter, so you should run after her. I smoke a little too late. By the time I did, the guy had already shot me, so I have to burn another medicine. We can just assassinate this guy to lessen the fight by one enemy. So again, all you want to do is just waste their time. Usually if she's just fighting one-on-one, she's completely fine. Okay, once again he's like, Elise wait, so you can run after her. I see these two guys in front of us and I don't want them to aggro us, so I smoke onto them. These guys come after us, this is the next encounter. If they're blocking and parrying you and your swords clash with theirs, you don't have to worry about it. You don't actually have to kill them, you don't actually have to damage them. Just got to occupy their attention until Elise runs to the next fight. Okay, off she goes, and we go with her.
Empty. He must have gone on foot.
Elise!
So a bunch of stuff happens here. Elise and Arno kind of go their separate ways because she's mad that they didn't kill Germain, and he's mad that she doesn't realize he wants to protect her and keep her safe. She's being kind of bitchy about it, being like, oh, my life's not yours to save, and all other kinds of annoying stuff like that. She just is just completely unaware of the depth of what he feels for her, and she's kind of like acting in really reckless, nigh suicidal fashion. Just kind of putting her life in danger over and over again, being really stupid about it. and Arno gets demoted. He basically gets exiled from the Brotherhood completely, which was a really interesting story moment. It's never happened to an assassin before in such a harsh and radical capacity. You know, with Altair, it sort of happens, but that's like at the beginning of the game, and that's our introduction to the franchise. Whereas with Arno, like, you've been an assassin for the whole game, and now right at the end, it just all gets like torn away from you. So he still has his hidden blade, he still has his sword, and he's just drinking his life away in Versailles, basically. He has nothing to live for at this point.
Looks like
Elise is gone. Monsieur de la Serre is dead. His father's dead. He's trying to look for his watch, and he goes through a sequence of flashbacks here. Let this guy hit you twice, and with the default health pool, you just skip the fight. Because it's a flashback, you don't actually need to win. You just need to end the fight any way possible.
No, get back here.
And at this point, this guy starts to run away from Arno. And Arno's gonna chase him down. He wants to get his watch back. Presumably this guy knows where it is, and I failed to tackle there, even though I was running straight at him, mashing E the whole time. And what ends up happening here is we are in this palace. I saved myself with a Berserk blade because I wasn't anticipating that guy's positioning. Stab this guy. We're gonna phantom that guy in the face, or in the back of the head, I should say. Smoke bomb. Usually there are more guards around here, so I was a bit taken off guard by that guy being solo.
Bloody minion! Dead?
This brute's gonna see the corpse, go and investigate. We can do a high-profile cover kill on him. And here we can lure this guy in this direction. Get a pretty easy but janky looking cover kill on him. Phantom blades let us cross that guy out. This gunner has a really long sight range, so he sees us. We lure them over there, smoke so they can't run through the cloud, and then just run. We don't need to fight them, we just need to move through the area until the end. Here we can take out this brute. This guy's in our way, so we can get rid of him.
You seem to have caused quite a commotion.
Well, what can I say? You were always a bad influence.
Oh, you were worse.
We can wait until the defender leaves, and then quickly kill this guy and slip through here. We can cover kill this guy.
Is that me? Looks like it.
Oh yeah, because Arno is hungover, trying to use Eagle Vision hurts his head, which I thought was a really nice touch. I really like that kind of narrative integration.
Courage, my boy. You wait just here. I will return when this hand reaches the top. And Arno, no exploring, hmm?
Yes, Father.
Once we kill this guy, we just need to interact with his body. And we're gonna do that by smoking these guys. And the next time we get gameplay, we have to assassinate Latouche finally. This is the most maybe traditional Assassin's Creed assassination in the whole game, which means on a good day it's one of my favorites. However, this is not a good day, and I fucked this up really, really badly. I basically end up getting the worst possible outcome and just end up dealing with it, basically. I'm not proud of it, I'm really unhappy with it, but the world just spins on, you know, we just keep moving. more likely than not, if you're lacking experience playing this mission, or if you just get unlucky, then you will face exactly the same kind of situation I did. So at first, it kind of seems like everything's going fine, right? This gunner's detecting me, but that's fine. He doesn't... his gauge doesn't cap out, so we're relatively safe. And then there's this gunner here, and then we realized there are too many sight lines. We need to purge some of these. So we're gonna shoot this guy. Curve around to the right. And we're gonna 1-2 punch these guys. And now we control these rooftops. So we can smoke down here, but guards end up seeing us on top of the little platform there. But they lose sight of us quick enough that we can activate this opportunity and begin blending with this crowd. This is kind of where it stops being okay. From here on out, I missed that there are still guards behind me. I somehow let it slip my mind, somehow let myself forget it. So you can see I'm kind of waiting for this guy to go around the corner, and I stab him here and I take cover here. But I get seen from behind, and everyone just locks onto me, and I know that I have no chance to do anything anymore except to just rush Latouche and kill him as fast as I can. This is the only option I have left. I don't have items, I don't have anything else that I can use. I don't even think I have smoke bombs. And the movement controls fuck me up. End up jumping on that crate, end up jumping on that wall, end up coming over here, forgetting that there's no pathing here. I actually take that hit and I end up having to heal. It's just Panic City. Like, it's so bad. It's literally the worst gameplay. Very, very frustrating. But we win. We killed our target. We got the hell out. And we're gonna go through another server bridge, which is medieval. So yeah, mission's over. And we end up...
It's not the best time, is it?
I'm on it. 2 seconds.
Okay, we're close, Initiate. Arno and Germain had some kind of confrontation within the next few months, but we don't know where or how it ended. We're counting on you to find out.
Got it. The portal's open.
Alright. Got to escape the sweep.
This is your last forced migration.
Yeah, and if it doesn't go so well, you could go into hippocampal shock and take your meals through an IV for the rest of your life.
Let's not dwell on that, shall we?
Yeah. Ideally not.
This might look familiar to you. We're back in medieval Paris, late 14th century. You're outside the city walls now. I suggest you find your way back.
I get a frame drop there. I'm really not sure what causes those. My CPU and my GPU should be amazing, so it's either the fact that I haven't updated my motherboard to properly interface with my Ryzen 7, which is a possibility. I haven't done it. I've had people tell me I don't need to, and I've had people tell me I really should. I don't know. And the other possibility is that I don't own any solid-state drives whatsoever. I run everything on hard drives. I'm not at a place in my life where I have the money that I can buy solid states, so it could just be hard drive hitching. Okay, get ready because I'm gonna eat a lot of damage here. And I know I'm gonna eat a lot of damage, which is why I heal preemptively. Bam. And again. And again. And again, it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point. Get another frame drop right there. And we are out of here. This next mission is by far the worst mission in the game. I think it's called the Supreme Being or whatever. You basically have to discredit Robespierre. It's kind of like... At first, Arno wants to kill him so that he can get information from him by, you know, doing his memory vamping thing. But he's pretty much unreachable. So what Elise suggests is rather than thinking like an assassin and just figuring out a way to go and stab him, think like a Templar and ruin him socially.
Incriminating evidence.
So Arno steals lists.
These are all deputies of the National Convention. Lists of political figures written in the hand of a man fond of sending his rivals to the guillotine. Yes, these should do nicely.
Yes, so by planting those on people's bodies, Arno can make Robespierre look dangerous. And by bodies, I mean, like, not corpses. Just people that are standing around. Elise has her own part of the plan. She has her own actions that she has to achieve here, and Arno's going to help her by essentially keeping her undetected. So, Robespierre has brought his own alcohol, and what Elise wants to do is put ergot into it, which is basically LSD. For the time period this game takes place in. She wants to make him look like a hallucinating, raving lunatic, basically. So you can easily protect her from guard attention by knowing where they spawn, just kind of like memorizing their positions and then killing them at the opportune moments. So that guard turns around, we can blend assassinate this guy, and then come back here, and there's two of them. We basically want to chill right here because if you notice, over in the distance there are two other guards. Actually, maybe more than 2. So you want to let these guys walk as close to you as you can, because it means they'll have walked as far away from their buddies as they can. So I throw my smoke bomb as soon as I see SSI, kill them both, and leave the area. Looks like Elise is done. Yep. And now we can go. Once that guard lets us talk to Elise, there's a little cutscene, and now we have to plant these lists on various people in the crowd here. Janky animation. Weird flex, but okay. That guy actually sees me for reasons unknown to me. Probably saw the body, saw me around the body, didn't like it. He's only 3 diamonds, so theoretically I should be able to fight him. This is about the upper limit of guards I'm comfortably willing to fight on a no upgrades run. If they have 4 diamonds or 5, I don't want anything to do with them. He actually dropped 2 smoke bombs, which is very good for me. We have 2 more targets to put these lists on. We're basically just reverse pickpocketing them. Killing guards in this area actually makes your job harder, so we just use the crowd to sneak by. Here's the last target, and he's in this area guarded by blue guards. So what we're gonna do is basically try to move through here, go into the tent. When we're in the tent, we can kill this guy from behind, and then very gently, very carefully inch up behind this guy, plant the list on him, and get the heck out of there. And at this point, we can move on to the next mission, and essentially Robespierre has been moved around and he's, ready to be executed, but we still don't have the information from him where Germain is hiding, and we really need that ideally. So we're gonna go over to him, figure him out, and
where is Robespierre? They took him that
try to just, get him to tell us where our final target is. And this is where everything kind of culminates. We really want to kill Germain. He's the only target we have left. This right here is the second last mission in the game. And right now we just want to follow this guy. So, fun little thing. One of the features that Unity was marketed with was called AMM, or Adaptive Mission Mechanic. And it was essentially an answer to a common complaint the Assassin's Creed games had received for a number of years, and it's basically the idea that, if your objective is one thing, like if you need to tail a guy and he detects you or you get too far away from him, it's like an instant failure, instant desync, and you just lose and you have to retry. And it's something that really frustrated a lot of players, because a lot of the time it felt kind of bullshit, it's like, oh, what the fuck, right? Assassin's Creed's controls have never been, 100% reliable, or so, you know, so people assumed or thought or experienced. I found that the AC1 to Revelations controls were borderline perfect, and over the years they got worse and worse and worse, and less and less reliable. That's been my experience. I know that other people consider it differently. But anyway, the idea of adaptive mission mechanic was not to just stop game flow when a player failed an objective, but to actually deepen the play experience by making it shift into another objective. And this right here is one of the only times in the game that actually works. So we're supposed to tail this guy. If we lose him, we don't fail the mission. It just becomes a find objective. It turns from a tail objective to a find, to a locate. So now we have to locate him by, you know, going to where we last saw him. And he's basically gonna hide in this huge house. So once we go here, a cutscene triggers. And our goal here is to get past his guards and to interact with a certain door. It's the door to the room that he's holed up in. And this is actually easier than it seems, especially if you don't have the goal of killing everyone. If you do have that goal, this mission becomes quite challenging. But what we're gonna do is approach from the low ground here. And we're gonna pull this brute out of position. We're gonna pull him into here. I'm gonna climb this tall building. Side hop onto this ledge, come up here. Side hop onto this ledge. And this gunner has a stupid long sight range, so he actually detects us because we forgot he existed. Huge shame right there. We're gonna parkour down and decide to kind of just climb up from here. Because really what I want to do is get into this building and get into a certain corridor. So we're gonna smoke here, come up here. Normally we would be able to go through this door, but we don't have the lockpick skill at all, let alone level 3 of it. We're gonna kill this guy. That gunner up there detects us. I don't want him starting to shoot and alerting everyone, so I need to kill him now. One Phantom Blade will shut him down no matter what level he is. Once again, that's a characteristic of all gunners. Gunners always die in one Phantom Blade, so that's something that is eternally reliable, something you can always trust. So I need to kill these guys because I need to climb up this statue. I don't have double assassinate, so I just use Berserk stun to kind of do a bootleg version of it. Up here, I need to make sure this guy walks away so that I can move into this area. Okay, there he goes. I'm gonna yank this guy. There you go. And now we can ideally move through to the left here. I smoke in that direction and try to move past this chair before realizing that the game hates me and doesn't actually want to let me do that. And by the time I cover on this corner, my smoke bomb has been wasted, so I toss in a new one and interact with the door. And that's it for that mission. And now we are at the temple. We have to assassinate Germain. This is it. It's the final mission. It's all we have left. And we're gonna open in a very predictable manner, just kind of jumping down here. We're gonna kill this gunner and then very quickly move over here. This cover makes it very awkward for us to smoke bomb reliably. So instead, we're going to select Berserk Blades, Berserk the guy in the front, kill the guy in the back, kill the guy in the front. This just locks them down and makes them, you know, not walk out too far. It lets us keep them contained in this space. Now remember what we said about gunners, they always die in one Phantom Blade, so we can actually just rush this guy. Similar principle here, we can kill that guy, kill this guy. I'm wondering who's actually looking at me, and it's that gunner up there, but he's not a concern, because what we can do is leap to this ledge, or handhold, I should say. Side hop onto this beam, get a frame drop. Not fun. We're gonna side hop onto this ledge, curve around this tower. And I try to be fancy before realizing that Unity hates its player and doesn't want you to do advanced parkour like that. For those of you who are aware, you know what I tried to do. For those of you who are not aware, I tried to do a wall run back eject, which is something that you can easily do in AC1 to Black Flag, but something that you can't do so easily in this game.
What the hell was that?
That was a Sword of Eden. It's an aggressive, attack-based piece of Eden, made by the first civilization, the Isu. It's the closest thing to magic this world tends to come to.
What?
Really, it's just super advanced technology. Just godly cyber tools. Effectively. The easiest way to get to the underground, which is where Germain disappears to, is to go this way. Oh, and by the way, yes, this is the area from the prologue. It's a straight up castle. I basically don't have time to screw around. I'm gonna smoke right here. Or not, because no one's actually following me, only that gunner has aggro on me. And gunners are stationary, they don't move. So if they don't have a way to propagate their detection state among other guards, then they're actually useless. And here is quote-unquote the final boss. It's not really much of a boss fight though. All you really have to do is assassinate this guy 3 times in any way.
Elise! Was the Lasser as well?
This is quite the reunion.
Stay hidden. Keep him talking.
Did you think this day would never come?
So Arno and Elise have to work together to kill this guy. She's gonna keep talking to him, keep him distracted. And you basically have to use these cover objects to get close to him and assassinate him 3 times, like I said. When he comes close to your cover, you can high profile assassinate him from it, and then you want to reposition.
Power? Don't be absurd. This was never about power. It's always been
Okay, if he zaps you with that, he does tremendous amounts of damage.
Did your father teach you nothing? The darkness cannot protect you.
Whenever you hear him say something like that, like the darkness cannot protect you, you think yourself safe in your shadows or things like that, or you cannot hide from me, boy, or just any of those quotes, it means he's about to eagle vision you. And when he does, he can create a lightning bolt on your position. Yeah, like, I will find you, and he eagle visions you. I actually need to get out of there, because there you just saw the edge of that lightning bolt. I believe he may have hit me, but I'm not sure. See, yeah, that's another one. Skulk all you like, it makes no difference. And he tries to ping you again, but he was close enough that I could cancel it with my assassination. So at this point what happens is Arno is like, Elise, don't fight him alone, he's got a piece of Eden. And she's like, no, I don't know what pieces of Eden are, I'm not genre savvy. I'm a Templar, but apparently have no idea what these powerful artifacts do. And she just goes to try to fight him herself, she gets killed. Arno's really angry, he kills Germain, and that's the end of the game. That's Assassin's Creed Unity with no upgrades, so thank you for watching. Just to prove what goes on here, that I'm not a filthy liar, we're gonna open our menu, go to character customization. You see we have no skills. In the top left you see we have 59 skill points. For gear loadout we have nothing except the Sword of Eden, which gets auto-equipped once you finish the game. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is the first time I really tried to do something like this. It was really more to see for myself whether I can really do it or not. And I hope you enjoyed this, hope it taught you something or that it was entertaining, and I'll see everyone later.